Hello everyone, back again with a brand new video, and man, it's exciting times, that's for sure. I just finished watching the Dragon Quest conference that happened in Japan, where they announced their lineup for the 30th celebration of Dragon Quest, and that a lot of games announced. Now, I'm not going to go into all of them. There's a few smartphone games. One of them looked really cool, but I'm not really going to go into it. I just want to break down all the main ones I'm interested in, and leading up to the granddaddy of them all, the one game we've all been waiting for. First up, they showed Dragon Quest Builders, and I was kind of optimistic. I wouldn't say I was lukewarm. I was kind of optimistic. I'm not a big Minecraft player, but I think the Dragon Quest aesthetics will be enough to bring me in. And I really liked what they showed off. They showed the PS4 build of the game. It looks a lot of fun. What I really like is I need to get some more information for this, but I think depending on that famous decision at the end of Dragon Quest 1 where you just ask if the Dragon Lord will you rule, help him rule mankind and all that jazz. And I think depending on what happens there leads to the destruction of the world, and it's your job to sort of rebuild it. I need to find out more information on that, but that would be amazing if you build everything back up, and maybe towards the game you have to fight like the descendant of Erdrick who's probably corrupted. I don't know if that would be the case, but that would be really cool if that happened. Gameplay wise, it looks fantastic. Of course, if you've played Minecraft, you know how that works. Basically, you farm for materials, like you chop down trees, you peck at rocks, and I like the fact that when you separate them, they become a Dragon Quest item in your inventory, which I think is really cool. And it's a quick little inventory with all your materials, and from that you can make Dragon Quest S towns. And this is the whole thing they're going with for Dragon Quest Builders is when you look at what you're creating from a bird's eye view, it should look like a old school Dragon Quest game, and that is extremely appealing to me. Combat, it's pretty good. Like, I wouldn't say it's like the thing that will sell the game, but it's a pretty simple looking action RPG on the side of the building, so no problems there. It looks really cool. So I think after I saw the town in full being built, I was like, yeah, I'm in. I'm definitely in. As an old school Dragon Quest fan, it's like, yeah, I want to build my own town in the lands of Dragon Quest 1, most definitely. So that's getting released on PS4, PS3 and PlayStation Vita, and I'm most likely going to play that on the PS4. Also might get it on the Vita. Next up, they showed a little snippet of Dragon Quest Heroes 2. Now, they didn't really have anything to show. They did show a still image that confirms two new characters, and one of them is, of course, Carver from Dragon Quest 6, and I think her name is Mirabelle, like from Dragon Quest 7. Still wanting to play 7, Square. So it was really cool to hear those two characters announced, and there wasn't really much to talk about after that. They just showed that off. Then they showed off Dragon Quest Joker 3, and nothing really. They just showed the artwork for the main character. I think they showed one screen of what it's going to look like on the 3DS. Looks pretty cool. I kind of enjoy the Joker's games. I don't play many monster ranching games outside of Pokemon, but that's probably the second series I kind of gravitate towards, because I've been Joker 1, Joker 2, and they're not bad games. They're actually quite enjoyable. So I will say this, I don't think we'll ever see Joker 3, because Joker 2 was the game responsible for Nintendo basically to not consider any Dragon Quest games basically made after that for the last couple of years. So I don't think you would see Joker 3. Who knows? Anything can happen. And then they also announced that Dragon Quest 10 is coming for the PS4, and I've kind of given up hope for that game a little while back. However, with the infrastructure for Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn and Heaven's Ward, as someone who's played Final Fantasy XIV on the PS4, I can easily say I had fantastic connections all the time, and the infrastructure is there, and if they can copy that, I would say that the Dragon Quest X's best chance for localization would be on the PS4. But yeah, I'm not sort of, my hype meter is not anywhere towards medium for that. So if it happens, cool. If it doesn't, I still got a ton of Dragon Quest X Let's Plays to view for my Dragon Quest X experience, sad as that may sound. But all these games aside, they're all fantastic offerings, but I was there for one big reason, as was a ton of fans. We wanted to know about Dragon Quest XI, and I have to say, I was very surprised at what they had to offer. They announced it for both the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo 3DS, and I thought to myself, that's very strange, because there's a lot of theories going on that there'd be a back end with Sony just for Sony devices, and we thought there might be a back end deal from Nintendo to keep it on the Nintendo systems. But instead, they played the safest route they could possibly do, and that's cater to both sides. Have it on the PS4 for that fan base who loves like 7 and especially 8, like me, who loves 8, for those sort of fans, and then on the 3DS for like all the 3DS games and all the DS games that have been announced. So it's a smart choice. The thing that surprised me the most is both versions are completely different in terms of visuals and presentation, and I was absolutely blown away that they went to this effort. I immediately dismissed the 3DS version just because I've been so bitter about Square and Nintendo not localizing the recent 3DS Dragon Quest games. So I kind of wrote that off. But then when I saw the 3DS version in action, and it wasn't just a mimic of the PS4 version, I was like, damn, they went to a lot of effort. And what I like about the 3DS version is I've dubbed it the 30th celebration game of the Dragon Quest series, because the top screen, it kind of resembles Dragon Quest 9 and Dragon Quest 7 on 3DS, especially in the battle system for Dragon Quest 7. And the bottom screen, it resembles the Super Famicom games with a 2D style, with the cell phone sort of 2D style. And I just thought that was just crazy they went to that length. And apparently you can actually switch between the views in the battle. Like, you can have the battle screen either looking like the sort of the 3D sort of Dragon Quest 9, Dragon Quest 7 look, or you can switch it to look like Dragon Quest 6 / Dragon Quest 3 on the Super Famicom. I thought, that is just so cool that they went to those lengths to please the fans of all generations. So that's really cool. Now, Dragon Quest 11 on PS4 is a different story. Whilst on the 3DS it looks to be sort of a celebration game, the PS4 version is totally going for the next-gen Dragon Quest experience. And they are using Unreal Engine 4 to build this game, and a lot of developers across the world are using Unreal Engine 4 because it's much cheaper and you get better results. So I'm kind of happy that they're doing this. I'm speaking as someone who's used Unreal Engine 3 last year a lot. But I'm happy that they basically want to cut costs and they want to get straight into it using Unreal 4. So I'm really happy about that. And what they showed was an early build of the game. The first part they showed was in a castle town, and it was very detailed, very vibrant. I like the fact there was no transitions for entering buildings, which I thought was really cool. And I really liked the model of the main character. He looks really cool, and you saw like, you know, bits of his hair flowing in like real time. It's like, yeah, this looks like a next gen Dragon Quest game. But it was an early build because there was no one running around the town. It was just basically the main character walking around. But in the second part of what they showed is they're out in the overworld, in like, you know, the forest and the grasslands, and there's like a waterfall in real time. It looks really cool. And they did show the monster models in full animation, which is really cool. They didn't show the battle screen yet, which I'm kind of holding out. Hopefully it resembles Dragon Quest 8, but just looks a lot better. That's what I'm hoping it'll look like. I'd be kind of disappointed if it kind of resembles Dragon Quest 10, but if it resembles Dragon Quest 8, just looks a whole lot more cinematic and awesome, then that would be my dream come true. That's what the perfect Dragon Quest game would be for me. But I was just blown away that they went to the trouble to create essentially two different looking games. Now, the reports are saying that the story and the characters will be identical to both versions, so we'll see what happens with that. My wish is that it would have the same plot between both versions, but there'd be different events in each to give you sort of a different experience. I will most likely play both versions just because of how drastically different they look. And I wasn't expecting that. I thought they were going to do a Dragon Quest X where Dragon Quest X looks like a low poly version of the other versions, on Wii U, and PC. That's all they did, is they just made a low-res version of that and just put it on 3DS. And I was kind of worried that's what they were going to do for Dragon Quest XI, but nope, they made both versions from the ground up. And wow, I just think that's amazing for them to go that far. I'm very happy as a Dragon Quest fan, and slightly cautious, especially for the 3DS version, because I have high hopes that the PS4 version will definitely come out, because Sony's just been so supportive of the Japanese sort of gaming fan base of the world, and helping localize games out of Japan in the recent years. They've been doing good work, that's for sure. Whereas Nintendo, on the other hand, has been very they've been very reserved, especially with the Dragon Quest series. And I every week I send them a message to say, hey, I desperately want to play Dragon Quest 7 and 8 on the 3DS. And that's two things. If they came out, I would have my faith restored. We'll see what happens, but I just wish Square would take more position to localize and bring out the games themselves, but who knows. But after what's happened the last couple of years, I am worried about the 3DS version. It would be awesome if they could make special arrangements for at least 11 to come out, but who knows. But I'm still optimistic about the PS4 version. I reckon it'll definitely come out. And this is going to be my last sort of theory between both versions. I think because of how far along the 3DS version is and how early the PS4 version is, I think we'll see the 3DS version in Japan come out at the start of the year, and we'll see the PS4 version of the game come out towards the end of the year. So you're going to have this year-long celebration of Dragon Quest for its 30th anniversary. It's going to start with the 3DS version of Dragon Quest XI and end with the PS4 version of Dragon Quest XI. And I think that's really, really cool. Plus you get all these other side offerings in the mix, at least if you are an importer like myself. If you're waiting for localization, we'll see what happens. And I think I would say that if you do want to see any of these games that I talked about localized, I think the best thing you can possibly do is send Square your thoughts and feelings and support Dragon Quest Heroes when it hits in October, because that will be one of the biggest deciders for them. So yeah, Dragon Quest XI, guys, it's been a long time waiting for this game to come out. I'm happy that it's going to be offline, and I think that's where the heart of Dragon Quest is. It's the granddaddy of Japanese RPGs, and it's kind of a big blow when it was online, and especially since it was kind of neglected for the Western release. So it's kind of had this big void for a numbered Dragon Quest game to not be available to us. But I am hoping that 11 sort of brings it back, and basically brings back all the fans that enjoyed all the games in the previous generations. Alrighty, I'm kind of losing my train of thought. I'm still sort of hyped and still processing everything as it's unfolded. So I just cannot stress enough that I just think it's amazing to make two different versions of the same game from the ground up. One last thing I do want to say is it was awesome to see Yuji Horii on there and everyone else who's a part of the development of all these Dragon Quest games. But the thing that kind of really touched me was to see Koichi Sugiyama come up on stage, because the gentleman is well and truly into his 80s, and most people his age would have retired and kicking back and enjoying his life. But the thing is, he is enjoying his life. He's enjoying his life doing the thing he loves the most, and that's making music for the Dragon Quest series. And I have so much respect for him. He's one of my favorite composers, and he's a true gentleman in every sense of the word. And just to see someone of his age and just continuing doing these amazing pieces of music. I'm not a big traditional music fan. Like, I know a lot of people around me who rant and rave about going to concerts and seeing their favorite bands, but I can never really identify with them. However, I can sort of feel that the same admiration they have for these bands is the same admiration I have for composers like Koichi Sugiyama. Koichi Sugiyama composes some of the most soul uplifting music ever. Like, even if I wasn't playing a Dragon Quest game, there's days of the week that I will sit back and really, really chill out to listening to his symphonic suites, because they are so easy listening and they just make you feel good when you listen to them. And he's definitely one of my favorite composers, one of my top 5 favorite composers. So to see him up on stage, like, you know, getting everyone excited for Dragon Quest 11, I'm just like, he's definitely one of my favorite composers, definitely one of my favorite people in the gaming industry. So it was so awesome to see him there. So I think I will end up there, otherwise I'll probably be talking for another 15 minutes. I thought that this conference was a million times better than the Square Enix conference they showed at E3. That's for bloody sure. If anyone was wondering, I did kind of kill the momentum. It seemed like I was going to do a video a day on all the conferences, but I actually have to come out and say it. I disliked the Square Enix conference so much outside of what they showed at Kingdom Hearts 3 that I was I was a little bit ill for the rest of that day, and I was kind of angry. I was just like, because I was expecting more Dragon Quest news, and they didn't even really support Dragon Quest Heroes that much at that conference. So I walked away from that conference really bitter, and I didn't even want to do a video on it. And it's so funny because at that time people were sort of ranting and raving how bad Nintendo was, and I thought Nintendo's conference was alright compared to Square. Holy crap. But anyway, enough of me just secretly inserting a Square rant right there. I just want to say congratulations to the Dragon Quest team, and at least you're doing the best of Square's work there in Japan. Oh man. Hopefully we'll see Dragon Quest rise again in the West. And I will definitely say one thing I'm looking forward to this year, guys, is I have plans to get another iPhone, because mine's outdated and I need a new phone because the battery's sort of screwed on that. But the one thing I'm looking forward to with getting a new updated iPhone is I can finally download all these Dragon Quest games, because where I live, my current, or I should say my former phone service as of this recording, because I recently cancelled from them, I couldn't get reception here. But with the new provider I'm going with, I'll get reception. I'll be able to go online and download all the Dragon Quest games. I'm looking forward to playing 3 most of all, because I really want to replay that and experience it in full. So yeah, man, the rest of 2015 and 2016 is shaping up to be some of the best time to be a Dragon Quest fan, especially live in Japan, but hopefully for the rest of us in the rest of the world. So I'll end it there just to say thank you for listening, everyone, and I'll be back soon with a new video. So until then, take care.